I ain't gonna lie. I was gonna stay in the bed all day, man. It's cold as heck outside. Dude, I was just gonna stay in the bed all day, but this these things I be talking about is important for me to talk about because for one it's like therapy. Like mental therapy and it's just like a message that I need for especially people my age, but even younger people because it starts when you're young far as getting you a spiritual connection and paying attention to your health and paying attention to yourself and what you need to be doing to preserve your your existence, which is life. But I just like I said, I ain't really want to get on here today, but I had to because it's like when I lay down at night, I'll probably sleep for about an hour or two. But for the most part, I just be up thinking and just thinking about things on how I could have changed some things and what I would do different and stuff like that. And my thing is, I at least should let somebody know circumstance. Because when I got in this situation, as far as my health, I was actually trying to restore my health before I even knew I was kind of sick or getting sick. So which probably helped me in the long run. Like I said, I can't wait to get back to the gym and working out like I was working out because I need that. That was like therapy to me because it was stopping me from doing a lot of things like drinking and just hanging out in the wrong spots. And I made the gym my hangout, and I made that like my new habit as opposed to the bad habits. I just replaced all my bad habits with trying to physically change myself, and I was trying to eat better, which I'm still doing right now. But it's just that I just have challenge, and I probably would have got through it a little better. But I don't know. I just because I was just praying to God to guide me through the decisions that I was making, and I was just trusting in God. Just that just where I was at the time. Like I'm gonna pray about it. I was telling my girl I'm gonna pray about it, and then if God tell me, because when I was going through chemotherapy, like man, I'm talking about the worst. Like I thought radiation was bad, but when I was going through radiation, I worked all through my whole radiation treatment. I didn't miss a day of work. It was taking its strain, but I didn't miss a day of work. I'm talking about I worked every day of radiation. You know what I'm saying? When it got to the end, I probably missed like 1 or 2 days. But they told me they didn't want me to work at all. But I was still trying to work out and do stuff. I was working out, but I cut back on my workout like I would because I was getting up at like 2:30 in the morning. What I was getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning, making to the gym about 3, working out, leaving the gym, going to work. Then when I get off work, I had to go straight to radiation treatment. You know what I did? I did this for was it like 6 weeks, and it was like what I'm saying. And I can remember sometimes it was affecting me so bad, man. I remember one time when I got out of radiation treatment, I just sat in the parking lot, man. I just broke down. I just prayed to God. I just kept on telling you, like, man, I can't do this, man. And I was like, I just can't do this. But I ended up getting through that, which I thought was gonna be like the hard part, but that was the easy part. This is when I started going to chemotherapy. Because when I started going to chemo, while I was taking radiation, I was taking chemo pills. So the chemo pills, I wasn't paying attention. Like, and then by me, you know what I'm saying, taking these pills, like, because there was a lot of stuff I couldn't do once I started chemo treatment. Like, I couldn't drink nothing cold. I couldn't be in the sun. I couldn't, so it was a lot of stuff. And I even went to work a little bit during that, but then it started to take, because like when I used to go to chemo treatments, like I go to chemo treatments, like I was going every other Tuesday, and I would have to go to the office, and they put this thing in me, a med port. I still got it in me in my chest. I, they put a med port in me. This is where they inject fluids and stuff to that they was giving me through chemotherapy, right? So when I used to walk in the chemo doctor, and I used to go in there, I'm talking about it seemed like as soon as I walked in the office, it's like the whole atmosphere would change on me. So you know what I'm saying? Like the air would get thick. It would be like to where I couldn't hardly breathe. You know what I'm saying? Like my mood would drop. Like they were spraying something in the air, like it was a sickness in the air. I don't care how good I felt before I walked through that door, but as soon as I walked through that door, it was instant change. Like my mood changed, everything. And it wasn't me. I knew it wasn't me because I was trying to keep a positive attitude about everything. Like I got to do this. So when I used to go there, I started to go there every other Tuesday. I would sit, they would put me in this chair, and they would hook all of this stuff to me, to the med port, these different IVs, and I would have to sit there for 6 hours and just let this stuff, just go on. I'm talking about as soon as it hit, man, it just drained you. Like everything just sucked out of your, like, it's like all everything that you had, all your energy, your spirit, like it was like it was just sucking my soul out of my body. And like, you know what I'm saying? And then before I left, they would hook this bag up to me like a fanny pack. They would hook this thing, and it was this big ball of fluid in there, and I would have to have this, and I would have to wear this for 48 hours. Then go back on Thursday to get it took off. And then just take pills for a whole week and a half, and then just repeat this cycle. But it's like the more I went, the worse it got. Like my hands had got all the way black. Like my hands was black on my hands. The bottom of my feet started getting black. I was like, I was just losing all energy, man. I was like, I was miserable, man. I was, I ain't saying, I wouldn't say I was having suicidal thoughts, but I was like, shoot, God, man, I wouldn't even care right now. Like, whatever you're gonna do to me, go on to do to me, cause I ain't do it. But at the same time, I have, you know what I'm saying. I was thinking about my wife and my daughter. Like these was like I was just thinking about my daughter, my grandsons, who they really ain't my grandsons, but I've been knowing them since birth. But I was just thinking about that, and and my granddaughter, and I was just thinking about them, but just my kids, period. And like they need me, I got to hold on for them. So that was really the whole reason I was just going through what I had to go through. But the chemo had got so bad where like I started seeing like body changes. You know what I'm saying? Like one day you know what I'm saying, I'll be doing this and pulling like patches of hair out of my beard. Because if anybody remember, I cut my beard off uh this summer. You know what I'm saying? I just cut the whole thing off real low, but I ain't cut it off. But I cut it real low because my hair was just, you know what I'm saying? No matter what it was just, if I comb it, it was breaking off in the sink. It was just whole patches just coming out. You know what I'm saying? And that was starting to affect me because I'm like, dang, man, I'm like, I was already mad because my hands was black, and my feet was black. I wouldn't have no energy, like no energy. Like if I touch something cold, man, it's like it'll just have my whole just. I couldn't drink nothing cold. I couldn't I couldn't touch nothing. I'm talking about like it didn't even have to be cold. It could be just lukewarm. Like it could just be a regular temperature, room temperature. But if it had any kind of coolness on it, it would affect my hands and stuff. If I drink something too cold, it'll swell my throat up and stuff like that. I was like, shoot, this worse. It's worse than what I got. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm feeling in worse pain than I did before I went to the doctor and figured out, and so what made me cut everything off because I couldn't work, and my I couldn't work, And like my bank account was getting low. Like everything was just starting to just dwindle away. I was like using my credit cards, just you know what I'm saying. I survived a long time doing that, and still is surviving a little bit off of that. But but if I hadn't, that's why I thank God, because I think God was preparing me for what was to come. So He was fixing like some problems so I could be able to get through a lot of the stuff that I was gonna have to deal with. Because I'm telling you, man, if I was like I was 3 years ago, before I started changing and wanting to get close to God and want to do, and and I didn't know something was wrong with me. This is just a decision that I had made. But well, like I say, I feel like God came to me and told me that you need to get it together, or it's gonna be over. I just felt, I just heard that. I just, and it's hard to explain, but I heard God say that. God said that to me. I take him out way younger than you. And it had to be God, cause and then he repeated it to me again, and cause I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, I'll take him out way younger than you. And that's when I just started praying, and I think that was him warning me that you got something that you finna be dealing with. You need to get yourself together, or you ain't gonna make it too long. And so I started. So what I did was, once I got that, I quit drinking cold turkey. You know what I'm saying? The very next day, I quit drinking cold turkey. I was sick for like a week. I'm talking about, when you used to drinking and you gotta have a drink. I'm talking about the shakes, all of that type of stuff. So after like a week, what I did was I prayed to God. I said, God, I can't do this by myself. I'm gonna need you to I'm just gonna need you. So every day I was just praying to God like, I need you. I can't do it by myself. I can't do it by myself. But I was like, well, I gotta quit my job. I can't go back to my job. I can't do this. I can't do that, because I knew I was gonna still be around the same people, the same environments and stuff like that. I cut my best friend off because that was my drinking buddy, which he ended up dying like a month after I quit drinking. And because I told God, I was like, shoot, well, if you can get me through this week, I'm gonna start looking for a job. And I was like, the first job they call, I'm just taking it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just taking the job. I'm talking about not even a week. I quit my job, not even a week. I found a whole new job. And I still was feeling the effects of drinking, but I was coming down over there. So what I did was I started working out. Like I had like I got a dip pull up and dip station I had in my living room. I got weights. I got like 300-400 pounds of weights in the basement. I had like little stuff, wheels and push up bars. So what I would do was, I get off work, I'll give me like 20 to 30 minutes in workout. I had to start building. So I started building up. So after a couple months, you know, like about 2 or 3 months, I was like, I gotta go to the gym, because I was losing my motivation to work out at home. So went and got me a gym pass, and I worked out that whole gym, going to the gym. Now I started getting up in the morning, going to the gym, going to work at the gym, work, come home, going just eating, going to sleep. I started juicing, doing stuff like that. But I didn't know, and I did this for like my whole first year, probably like 13 months before I even knew I was sick. I was doing this, but I didn't know that God was preparing me for what's to come. And so after that whole year, boom, I get to, after the that whole time, I done been a year without drinking and stuff. So a couple months come up, I'm like, I'm finna go. I was like, yeah, it's time to start going to the doctor and get checked out and stuff like that. So I went to in January this year, I went to I called and set up a doctor appointment to get the colon test, and I went in, they put me to sleep. When they woke me up, they said, we found something we did, and they told me what I had to do. And I ended up starting off with the radiation treatment, I think like February. Got through that, probably February or March. Got through that. It was hard, but it wasn't hard as I thought it was, because once the chemo kicked in, chemo was, you know what I'm saying. And once I got to chemo, it just chemo is what tore me down. So I started, my finances started getting low because I couldn't really. I worked a couple times doing the chemo, but after like the second treatment, I couldn't do it no more. It was like I didn't even want to get out the bed. I'm talking about I was, man. I'm talking about it was rough. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking my girl would go to work. While she work, I'll probably sit in the bed and just mope all day. Like that's miserable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not asking God to take me, but like I wouldn't even I wouldn't even be mad if you did right now. Uh, it every time I went to chemo, you know what I'm saying? I'm driving myself to chemo and coming out of there, I was at one time, if my girl went, because my girl ended up coming up to the chemo, to me going to chemo treatment. She left work and came up there with me, and we went in together. She was just gonna sit in there with. No, she went in when I was getting the bag took off because I had to wear the bag for 48 hours. She came in there. She said I passed out in there. She was like, "You passed out." They was acting like they ain't even know what to do. I woke up the ambulance. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sweat because every time I walked in that doctor's office, I don't care how much energy I had, man, it's like they was spraying something in the air, And I said, so that was like, I think I went like two more times after that, but like that last time I went, and I was like, man, I know I ain't tripping, man. I was like, every time I walk in this place, man, it just turned, I just started feeling dead, and when I left, when I went back and they took the bag off that week, so I had like a week and a half. But I think it'd be like an 8-day break. So I was taking my pills and doing what I gotta do. So I told my girl, I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? Plus I had before I came up with that decision, because I was, my finances was breaking all the way down on me, you know what I'm saying? Like they had broke all the way down on me. So I had went to DHS, and this is what made me make the decision that I started making. I went to DHS, you know what I'm saying? They was calling me. I was going to work because I had to make money because I had to pay for my insurance and all that type of stuff. And I just had to have something coming in, and I didn't want everything to be on my wife. So what I did was I went to DHS, man. I filled out. I'll be honest with them, told them everything, everything, and they denied me for everything. Like when I say everything, they didn't give me nothing. They told me no on everything. So that was a big part of me making the decision. Like, you know what? I just got to do what I got to do. So I ended up dropping out of chemotherapy, sitting at home for like the rest of that week, building up my energy. I got a treadmill at the crib, so I started hitting the treadmill in the morning, building up my little energy until I was able enough to be like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to the gym. Went to the gym a couple times. Shoot, that following Monday, I got up and went back to work. And I think it was like I worked for like 3, 4 months straight, try to catch up, still didn't catch up, but I had money coming in and I was able to keep afloat. And then my girl, my wife, she was doing what she had to do to help keep us afloat. So, what I did was I after work, I started cutting grass after work. I built up a little clientele, got me about a good 10 customers. So every day or two, I had 2 or 3 people yard to go cut, getting that little money. So I was taking care of the light bill, gas and stuff. The little bills that I had, that was taking care of like gas. Me and my girl can have gas for the cars and just little stuff that I needed to do. But it was money and it was me working. And I was doing this after work. This fresh out of quitting chemotherapy. And I'm still going to the gym doing what I gotta do. But at the end, it caught up with me because I ended up getting sick at the end of October. This October, I ended up getting sick. And I'm thinking it's just because the weather changed. This like right before Halloween. I'm thinking it's just because the weather changed. So I done lost my appetite. Like I didn't eat. I couldn't eat really for like a whole month. And I was I wasn't able to use the bathroom regular like I normally use the bathroom. So I wasn't eating and I wasn't using the bathroom. So I got it. So I ended up getting a little energy to go back to work for a few days. I went to work on Wednesday. At Friday at work, I went to first break. When I got off break at 9 o'clock, I went back to my station. All of a sudden, I'm hot. Everything just get real hot. I get to sweating, everything. Long story short, I ended up passing out, hitting my head, splitting my eye. They took me to the hospital. They said it. You know what I'm saying? 2 days later, I got married. Me and my wife. We got married and baptized because that was the plan anyway. So I was really just trying to get back in the mood for that. But after we got married, we went out to eat. I came home and was in the bed like a whole week. One day she went to work like on a Tuesday. I told her, I was like, when you get off work, I gotta go to the hospital. So I ended up going to the hospital, going to McLaren. They ended up sending me up to I was in McLaren for like a day and a half, 2 days. Uh then they ended up sending me to Henry Ford. I ended up had to have a surgery. I ended up had to have a surgery. And mind you, it's been like a month. It's been like 3 weeks to a month. I ain't even really ate no real food. I've been nitpicking, trying forcing little stuff down, but I ain't used the bathroom. I ain't had no bowel movement, and I ain't been eating. But once they got me up to Henry Ford, that once they figured out that I had to have surgery, and it was a couple things that happened. But I ended up having to get in the colostomy bag, and it was like you probably had to wear this for 3 or 4 months. So, uh, but at this point, I was like, man, the way I was feeling, and then I ain't even really pay attention to how sick I was, or until after I had the surgery and went through all that, and then I started feeling a little better, and I was like, I ain't felt this, because I'm thinking I was just sick, but I was feeling bad for a long time, like for like a couple months, and didn't even know it. I just was that was normal. I was because I was still going to the gym and doing it. I'm thinking like, shoot, I'm working. I'm just exhausting myself. No, I wasn't feeling good. I just thought I was feeling good, like the way I feel now. And I got a lot of this stuff backed up in me, and all of that. I'm like, all of this stuff that came up out of my system. You know, I done got my appetite back. I've been eating since I started back eating like 2 days before I came home because I was up in Henry Ford. I came home like I started eating food like 2 days. My appetite came back while I was up there. Once my appetite came back, well, I started eating, so I started wanting more food and stuff. Like by the time I got home, shoot, like 2, 3 days after I got home, man, I was eating more than I normally eat. To where I said I need to slow down because I don't really need to be gaining weight back that fast, and I don't want to get lazy. I've been sitting in the house. Plus, I want to work out while I'm eating, so I'm finna start back. I done did a couple, but I done had to change like a lot of my diet, water and stuff I drink. So I'm finna start back getting off into my juicing. A lot of people been sending me like stuff, man, trying to help, which I appreciate that, cause man, without my family and friends, I don't think I'd be like, man. But I ain't miserable because I just sit back and think about what the last couple years, and I just sit back like, man, God was really preparing me to get through some stuff because that's and that's why I be so thankful, man. That's why I be wanting people to, you need to start paying attention to God, man, because God could be helping you way ahead of time because God know what's gonna happen to you. God know everything that's gonna happen to you before it happened to you, and God could be preparing you way ahead of time and we don't pay attention to a lot of stuff. I'm just glad that when God came to me and told me He can go and get me up out of here, that I took heed to that, and because I heard it. So I'm just glad he was preparing me to be able to. Because when I did go through surgery last week and a half, couple weeks, it was Saturday before last. Um, like, you're gonna be in surgery for 6 hours. You're gonna be in surgery for 6 hours. I wasn't in there for 2 hours. Uh, when the nurses came to my house and checked all my wounds and stuff, they was like, "You done healed up," but I healed it up just like that because I ain't been doing nothing but trying to take care of myself for the last couple of years. And I was like, and that's all I think about is like God was preparing me for what's to come, and with that on my mind, it gives me I could praise God more. I could think about, I think about God. Everything is comes with a thought of what God would do and how or what He would want me to do right now. How I move everywhere I move, I put God first before I make the move. I ain't gonna get it right all the time. I know I ain't gonna get it right all the time, but what I'm gonna do all the time is pray and ask God for guidance. Before I make any move, I'm gonna pray and ask God for guidance and help me recognize my distractions. So with that alone, just the way I pray, and it ain't nothing wrong with praying. And don't let nobody have you being ashamed of praying or say you praying. And a lot of people need to quit being ashamed of God. Period. Because a lot of us is out here running from God because we're ashamed of what people gonna think or what we believe. I believe what I believe, and I don't care what you believe, but I know if God ain't in it, I ain't really gonna pay no attention anyway. Because I know what's been done for me. I was prepped for this moment. So I'm gonna do what I gotta do. And so I'm always gonna mention God no matter what. I'm always gonna talk about God. I know what God done for me because I don't think I'll be here. I know for a fact I wouldn't be here because I can tell you some stuff about myself that I don't know how I got through it. And it had to be God. But I always been a prayer. And I'm telling you, it worked. Prayer works. I'm gonna have it on every time you see me. Just about every time you see me, I'm gonna have it on because I know it works. But that's just what I wanted to get on here and say. I ain't want to not do a video today. I'm gonna try to do one every day, but I just wanted to let y'all know. And I ain't really got really fully off in the detail, but I gave y'all a little bit of detail of what I've been going through and what I have to deal with. So now I'm on right now is I'm just trying to be able because I'm on restriction. I can't. They told me they don't want me lifting 10 pounds, but I don't know how long that's gonna last. I'd have got through a week and a half with it, but eventually I'm gonna either go downstairs and start curling some weights and doing what I gotta do. I lighten the weight, but I ain't finna, I ain't finna not get no exercise because that's my therapy. But like I just want y'all to to pay attention to yourself, man, and build you a relationship with God, man. Ain't nothing wrong with having a relationship with God. I'm telling you, man, things will go a lot smoother because I know, I know for a fact that it wouldn't be going as smooth for me if I didn't have a relationship with God that I have with God. Build you a relationship with God, man. Don't care about what nobody think. You're not perfect. You ain't never gonna be perfect. You're gonna make some mistakes and you're gonna be tempted every second of the day. You will have thoughts that you don't want to have, but I'm telling you, build you a relationship with God. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Watch how things change for you. Watch how better things get for you. I don't care how bad of a person people think you is, how bad you think you is, the mistakes you have made. Listen, it's always somebody that made a worse mistake than you that God is out here blessing right now because they built a relationship with God. Don't run from God, man. Build you a relationship with God. For real, for real. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't be hard. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to prove nothing to nobody but God. Build your relationship with God.